Um, Imagine a clock, not the digital one on your phone or like the analog one on the wall,
Right.
but an invisible driving force that just sort of runs your entire life.
Yeah.
For years, this clock has been round by someone else.
Yeah, your alarm goes off at 7 a.m. because, well, your boss expects you at 9.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You eat lunch at noon
Mm-hmm.
because that's the scheduled break. You commute home at 5 because the shift ends.
Right.
It's like your entire existence is held up by this external scaffolding.
And it's a comforting structure in a really strange way. I mean, you don't have to expend mental energy deciding when to do things.
Right. The decision is already made for you.
You just follow the script.
You follow the script.
Okay.
But then imagine that script just gets thrown out. Maybe you're laid off, maybe you quit to start a business, or you just have this long stretch of time between gigs. Suddenly, that external clock it stops ticking.
Yeah.
You wake up, you look at the ceiling, and you realize no one is waiting for you. There's no 9 a.m. meeting. There are no rules at all.
Yeah.
It sounds like absolute freedom, doesn't it?
Ideally, yes. I mean, we fantasize about that freedom all the time. But for most people, when they actually get it,
It's terrifying.
it really is. It doesn't feel like liberation. It feels like free fall. It just feels like chaos.
And that specific feeling of free fall is exactly where we are starting today. We're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating piece of source material.
Yeah.
It's an educational audio program from the Mr. English channel.
Such a great channel.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the specific program is called He Lost His Job, Then What? It tells the story of this character named Daniel. He's in that exact terrifying position. He lost his job, the external structure is completely gone, and he's trying to figure out how to work for himself.
What I love about this source is that it's doing two things at once. On the surface, it's a super relatable human story about the psychology of discipline, how we fall apart when we lose our daily routine and how we have to put ourselves back together.
Right.
But because it's specifically designed for English learners, it's also this incredible masterclass in the vocabulary of habits.
So our mission today is really twofold. We are going to unpack that psychological toolkit. How do you go from a messy pajama-wearing disaster to a productive business owner?
Yeah.
And simultaneously, we are going to spotlight the specific English words and phrases the source uses to describe that whole journey. We want to look at why they chose those words.
And a quick note on how we're going to approach this today. Since we are analyzing material meant for language learners, we're going to be very deliberate with our own language.
Exactly. We want to make sure the insights are crystal clear for you. We're going to keep the vocabulary accessible and the pacing steady.
No heavy jargon, just clear, actionable insights.
So let's jump right into the deep end here. The source material is divided into 3 distinct scenes, sort of like a play. Scene 1 opens, and to be honest, it's a bit of a train wreck for our protagonist, Daniel.
Oh, it really is. The source sets the scene with a very specific time. It's 11:30 a.m. Now, context is everything here, right? If it's a Sunday, 11:30 is brunch time. It's relaxing. But the text tells us this is a Tuesday. The rest of the working world has been productive for hours.
The day is basically half over.
And Daniel, he's still in bed. His friend Sophia calls him, and he sounds completely groggy. He's barely conscious.
Which brings us to the first major vocabulary concept the source wants to teach, which is the word unproductive.
This is a fantastic word to start with because the source defines it in a really nuanced way. We often think unproductive just means doing nothing, but the text clarifies it's about doing nothing useful.
I think that's such a crucial distinction because resting can be useful, right? Like if I've just run a marathon, sitting on the couch is recovery. That is actually productive for my body.
Precisely. Recovery is part of a cycle. It recharges you. But Daniel isn't recovering here. He's stagnating. In the text, he actually admits, I feel so unproductive. He knows he isn't resting with a purpose. He's just avoiding life.
Yeah.
And the source points to the root cause immediately. Daniel says, I stayed up late watching movies.
Stayed up late. Let's pause on that phrasal verb for a second. Why stayed up and not just went to bed late?
It's a subtle difference in agency. Staying up implies an active choice to remain awake past your natural bedtime or your scheduled bedtime. You are actively staying in the awake state.
It implies a sort of resistance to the end of the day.
Yes.
And why did he resist sleep? Because he didn't have a meeting the next day. The source material features a narrator named Paul, and he calls routine the clock of our lives.
Such a powerful image.
It is. When you have a job, the clock is often set by fear Fear of being fired, fear of being late. You don't stay up until 3 a.m. watching movies because you know the consequences.
But Daniel has lost his clock. He has no immediate consequences. And without that external pressure, he defaults to what feels good in the moment, which is entertainment.
Which leads to the second major vocabulary concept in scene 1, distracted.
Distracted. We use it all the time, but the source breaks it down beautifully. To be distracted means your focus is pulled away from your intended target.
Right. And usually we think of distractions as big things. A loud phone call, an emergency. But for Daniel, the distraction is incredibly mundane. It's the refrigerator.
The fridge.
I think everyone listening can identify with that. You sit down to do deep work, you open your laptop, and suddenly your brain goes, you know what would be great right now? Cheese.
Oh, absolutely. The host, Paul, actually uses a really great comparison here. He says being distracted is like trying to read a book, but your attention keeps jumping to a butterfly or a sandwich.
A butterfly or a sandwich. It's funny, but it's actually a perfect description of the monkey mind. Your brain is just looking for a quick hit of dopamine.
Right.
Hard work, like building a business plan,
Oh.
that doesn't give you immediate dopamine. But a sandwich,
Yeah.
that's instant gratification.
And that's the trap Daniel is stuck in. He is seeking easy dopamine because he lacks the structure to pursue the delayed gratification of his business. So scene 1 ends with Daniel in a really bad place. He is unproductive, he is easily distracted, and he is physically still in his pajamas at noon.
He has zero momentum,
No.
which sets the stage perfectly for scene 2. I like to call this the intervention. Sophia, his friend on the phone, she isn't just calling to chat. She realizes Daniel is spiraling, and she steps right into this mentor role.
She does. And she doesn't offer him vague platitudes either. She doesn't say, oh, just believe in yourself, Daniel.
Right, no toxic positivity.
Exactly. She gives him tactical physical rules. Her first rule is something I think 90% of us struggle with. She says, no phones in bed.
It sounds so simple, almost too simple. But the source material includes a confession from Paul, the narrator, that really drives this home. He admits that if he checks his phone in bed, he doesn't just check the weather. He ends up spending 2 hours watching videos of cats.
The cat video vortex. We've all been there.
Definitely.
But from a language learning perspective and a psychological one, this is all about friction. If the phone is in your hand, the friction to waste time is 0. Sophia is telling Daniel to add friction to his bad habits. By leaving the phone in another room, he removes the temptation entirely.
She then pivots to the start of the day. She tells Daniel he needs to wake up at 7 a.m. Now here is where we get a specific bit of vocabulary that the source wants us to flag for English learners. You don't make an alarm. You don't do an alarm.
Right. The natural pairing of words in English, the collocation, is that you set an alarm. It's a mechanical action. You are setting the parameters of your day. It's a small detail. But for a learner, getting that verb right makes you sound so much more fluent.
So he has to set the alarm. But then Sophia drops the piece of advice that I found the most interesting. It's about fashion. Or really, anti-fashion. She tells him to wear real clothes.
The real clothes rule, this is easily my favorite part of the source text.
Daniel pushes back on this, right?
Yeah.
He's working from his kitchen table. No one can see him. He asks, why wear jeans if nobody is watching? It's a completely logical question. Why be uncomfortable in your own house?
This is where we get into a concept psychologists call enclothed cognition. The source material explains it through a really funny analogy. Paul says that when he wears a hoodie or sweatpants, he feels like a potato.
A potato.
A lump. Starchy, inactive, just sitting on the couch. But when he wears a suit, he feels like a secret agent.
That is such a vivid image. A potato versus a secret agent.
It's funny, but the underlying point here is profound. It's all about signaling. When you stay in pajamas, you are signaling to your brain that it is relax time or sleep time. Your biology literally follows that signal.
Wow.
By putting on jeans or real clothes, you are sending a physical signal to your body that says, we are now at work. You are changing your internal identity for the next 8 hours.
So you really can't build a business empire if you feel like a potato.
Exactly. You have to dress for the brain you want to have, not the brain you currently have. It creates a boundary between your home self and your work self, even if you are sitting in the exact same room.
Sophia adds one last tactical step to this intervention. She tells Daniel to write down goals, but she's very specific about the number. She doesn't say write a huge to-do list. She says write down 3 goals. Why 3?
The source doesn't explicitly explain the science behind the number 3, but in productivity circles, this is huge. If you write down 20 things, you feel overwhelmed. You panic and do nothing. You just get distracted by the fridge again.
Right, it's paralyzing.
And if you write one giant goal like start business, it's way too vague. 3 is the magic number. It's manageable, but it's significant. It provides focus.
And she emphasizes writing it down, not just thinking about it in your head.
Writing it makes it real. It moves the goal from your imagination out into the physical world. It's basically a contract with yourself. When you see it on paper, it demands attention in a way that a passing thought just doesn't.
So we have the battle plan now. No phone in bed, set an alarm, wear real clothes, and write down 3 goals. Let's move to scene 3. This is the transformation. The source material actually uses sound effects to tell us everything has changed before a single word is even spoken.
Yes, the audio cues are very distinct. In scene 1, we heard a groggy groan and a phone ringing. But in scene 3, we hear the clacking of a keyboard and birds chirping. The energy is totally different.
It's 9 a.m. Daniel isn't sleeping. He has already finished his emails, and he's focusing on his business plan. Sophia calls to check in, and she notices the difference immediately. She uses an idiom that I think is really worth highlighting for you. She says, "You look sharp."
Looking sharp. This connects right back to the clothes discussion, doesn't it?
It really does. But let's break it down for the listeners. What does sharp actually mean in this conversational context? He's obviously not cutting anything.
In this context, sharp implies precision and cleanliness. Think about it. A knife is sharp when it has a defined edge. A person looks sharp when their appearance has a defined edge. Clean lines, fitted clothes, good grooming.
It's the exact opposite of sloppy.
Yes, it's the opposite of the potato look.
But sharp can also refer to a mental state, right?
Yeah.
Like if I say, he's a sharp guy.
Absolutely, and that's why the idiom works so perfectly here. Daniel looks sharp physically because he's wearing the jeans and a nice shirt, but he actually is sharp mentally because he's focused on his work. The outside matches the inside.
Daniel also mentions a strategy he's using to manage his mental energy. He tells Sophia he needs to clear his head.
That is a fantastic phrase for learners to pick up. To clear one's head. It suggests that the mind gets cluttered or foggy with stress and just too many thoughts. Daniel needs to wipe the slate clean.
And how does he do it? He doesn't open up his laptop and watch a movie.
No, he takes a walk. And this is a key detail the source points out. He uses a timer. He works for a set period, then takes a break, then goes back to work.
He isn't just grinding endlessly until he burns out.
Right. He is pacing himself. He is imposing that clock we talked about earlier, but now he is the one setting it, not a boss.
That leads to a really important realization Daniel shares with Sophia. He says, "I'm tired." And usually being tired is a complaint. But Sophia corrects him. She says, "It's a good tired."
I love that distinction, the good tired.
It resonates, doesn't it? Because there's a bad tired. The tired you feel when you've been scrolling social media for 4 hours is gross. It's heavy. It's filled with guilt.
That's the unproductive tired. It drains you without giving anything back. But the good tired is the feeling of depletion that comes from real effort. It's satisfying. It's the feeling that you used your energy for its intended purpose.
Like the feeling athletes have after a big game.
Exactly, or a writer after finishing a chapter.
The source defines this state as progress. And I want to drill down into the definition they provide because I think it's maybe the most important takeaway of the entire script. How do they define progress?
They are very careful to say that progress isn't about being perfect. It isn't about finishing the entire business plan in a single morning. The source says progress is simply being better than yesterday.
Better than yesterday.
That's it. Daniel didn't build a Fortune 500 company in scene 3. He just woke up at 7 a.m. and put on pants. Compared to scene 1, where he was in pajamas at noon, that is a massive victory.
It's funny when you put it that way. Putting on pants is a victory. But in the context of building a daily routine, it absolutely is. It's the foundational step.
It is the first step, and if you don't take the first step, you never get to the second one.
So let's zoom out and look at the big picture of this deep dive. We've analyzed the story arc. We saw the messy start, the intervention, and the transformation. The source provides a beautiful metaphor to tie all of this together. They talk about bones.
Yes. The quote is, "Structure is like the bones of your day. Without bones, the day just collapses."
That is such a strong visual. If we look back at scene 1, Daniel had no bones. He was a jellyfish.
A jellyfish or a potato, soft, shapeless, completely reactive to whatever current or distraction came along.
Exactly. The routine, the alarm, the clothes, the 3 goals, those are the bones. They hold the flesh of the day up so you can actually build something on top of it. You can't hang muscle on a jellyfish. You need a skeleton first.
That's a very vivid way to put it. And for you listening who are focusing on the language aspect, this metaphor helps explain why we use words like structure and build when talking about habits in English. We are constructing something solid.
Since we promised to help our listeners specifically with the vocabulary from the source, let's do a quick review. We've covered a lot of ground, but what are the absolute must-know terms we pulled from this text?
Okay, let's recap the top 4. First, unproductive. Remember, this isn't just being lazy. It implies you are doing something that has no value or utility towards your goals. It contrasts with rest, which is restorative.
Right.
Second, the phrase set an alarm. You don't make it, you set it. This is your tool for creating boundaries. Third, distracted. Having your attention pulled away, usually by something easier or more instantly gratifying, like a sandwich or a cat video.
Or a butterfly.
Or a butterfly. And finally, progress. Moving forward one step at a time. Not perfection, just movement.
Perfect. Before we wrap up, I wanted to mention one little moment of personality in the source material that we actually skipped over earlier. The hosts of the audio program, Emily and Paul, have a brief debate about being an early bird versus a night owl.
Oh yes, this is a classic conversation starter in English. An early bird is someone who naturally wakes up early and feels energetic in the morning. A night owl, like the host Paul in the source, prefers the late hours.
Which is interesting because Daniel was acting like a night owl in scene 1, staying up late watching movies. But to be productive, he had to force himself to be an early bird.
It raises a really good point about discipline. We often use our nature as an excuse. We say, oh, I'm just a night owl. But Daniel shows that even if you prefer the night, sometimes the bones of success require you to function in the morning. He had to pretend to be an early bird to get his business off the ground.
It shows that behavior can override preference. You can hack your own nature with the right routine.
Exactly. You don't have to be a morning person to wake up early. You just have to do it.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? The source material ends with a really encouraging thought for language learners specifically. It says that even doing 10 minutes of English a day is making progress.
It brings it back to that definition of progress we discussed. It removes the pressure. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. You don't need to study for 4 hours straight. You just need to set the alarm. You just need to put on the real clothes.
It's all about consistency over intensity, building those bones so your day can stand up day after day.
That's the key.
I want to leave you with a thought to mull over as you go about your day. We talk about structure being the bones of the day. If you looked at your routine today, really looked at it, would your day stand up tall or would it collapse like a potato?
That is the big question. It's absolutely worth checking your own bones to see if they're strong enough to support the goals you're trying to reach.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into routine, psychology, and the vocabulary of success. We hope you feel a little more ready to set that alarm and look sharp tomorrow.
Keep making progress.
See you next time.